Elena Rybakina's breakthrough run at the Australian Open 2026 ended in unforgettable fashion as she battled past Aryna Sabalenka in a high-intensity three-set final, winning 6-4, 4-6, 6-4 on Rod Laver Arena. The victory not only delivered her first Australian Open title, but also secured the second Grand Slam trophy of her career after her Wimbledon triumph in 2022. The match itself was widely praised for its quality, momentum swings, and mental toughness, with Rybakina holding her nerve in the deciding set to outlast the world number one and claim one of the sport's biggest prizes. Beyond the prestige and ranking points, the Melbourne victory carried enormous financial significance. As the 2026 women's singles champion, Rybakina was awarded 4.15 million Australian dollars in prize money, an amount equivalent to roughly 2.75 to 2.8 million US dollars. The payout set a new benchmark for the tournament and represented a 19% increase compared to what the previous year's champion earned. It also underlined the Australian Open's growing commitment to rewarding players at the highest level. The broader financial context of the tournament made the achievement even more notable. The Australian Open 2026 featured a record-breaking total prize pool of 111.5 million Australian dollars, approximately 74.7 million US dollars, following a 16% increase from 2025. This made it the most lucrative edition in the event's history and reinforced its status as one of the most financially progressive Grand Slams. From early-round competitors to champions, players across the draw benefited from the expanded prize structure. However, as with all professional sporting income earned in Australia, the headline figure does not represent the amount players ultimately receive. Under Australian law, prize money earned through professional sport is treated as taxable income, not tax-free winnings. Any income generated within Australia falls under the jurisdiction of the Australian Taxation Office, regardless of an athlete's nationality or place of residence. This rule applies equally to domestic players and international stars. For foreign athletes, such as Rybakina, Australia applies the foreign resident withholding tax system. Tournament organizers typically withhold tax at the source before prize money is paid out, ensuring compliance with Australian tax regulations. The withholding is calculated using Australia's marginal tax rates, which for non-residents can climb as high as 45% once income exceeds certain thresholds. As a result, a significant portion of the prize money is often deducted before the player ever receives the funds. Players do have the option to file an Australian tax return after the tournament. Through this process, they can reconcile the amount withheld and potentially claim deductions for eligible professional expenses. These may include coaching fees, travel and accommodation costs, physiotherapy, fitness training, and payments to support staff. Depending on the final assessment, players may receive a partial refund or, in some cases, owe additional tax. Even with deductions taken into account, the final take-home figure usually remains well below the advertised prize amount. As a non-resident for Australian tax purposes, Elena Rybakina's Australian Open winnings are fully taxable in Australia. Based on established ATO practices and past cases involving elite international tennis players, it is common for around one-third or more of the prize money to be withheld immediately. With an estimated tax range of 30 to 45% applied to her 4.15 million Australian dollars earnings, Rybakina's likely take-home amount from her Australian Open 2026 triumph is expected to fall between 2.3 million Australian dollars and 2.7 million Australian dollars, translating to approximately 1.6 million US dollars to $1.88 million. While the final figure may vary depending on her individual tax filing and allowable deductions, the victory in Melbourne remains one of the most financially rewarding milestones of Rybakina's career. Beyond the numbers, the Australian Open title further cements her status as a multiple-time Grand Slam champion and a consistent force at the very top of women's tennis, with both sporting prestige and financial rewards reflecting her growing influence on the global stage.